What's up, guys? Paulie malignaggi for Paulie TV. What's going on? Lomachenko versus Ortiz. A bit more exciting than everybody anticipated. I don't know, like I said yesterday in the video, the video I released in the pre-fight, it was Ortiz seems like a pretty durable guy, a guy who's got a lot of grit. Like I said, he had a draw against Joseph Adorno, who is a kid that I know on the East Coast and is a good fighter. And I don't know, knowing that result alone and then watching how he performed in some of the footage I'd seen of him, he's a guy who goes for it. You know, he tries to take charge in the ring, throws a lot of combinations when he gets close. And like I said, I mean, if there's one debilitating thing Lomachenko has to go through in the lightweight division, it's that he's undersized for a lightweight. But this is a guy who, in order to find competition, fights at a weight class that's not even comfortable for him. You know what I'm saying? Because he at featherweight and at super featherweight, he was pretty dominant to the point where it wasn't even fun to watch him. You know, it was just watching him throw beatings to everybody. You know, and he was beating some pretty good fighters there too. So at lightweight, the fights get a little bit more competitive. I'm noticing, you know, he feels the shots a little bit more. Remember, he got dropped by Linares. Ortiz, I think, is going to be a guy who, based off this performance and based off what I've seen of him already, is going to be a guy who hangs around in the lightweight division. I really gained a lot of respect for Ortiz in this fight. He wouldn't take no for an answer. I actually had the fight even after 8 rounds, and then I had Lomachenko running away with it late for a 116-112. Scorecard. I just, you know, at a certain point, I couldn't give Ortiz 9, 10, 11, or 12. It was just Lomachenko started taking control of the fight. But I remember there was a round where it could have went close. I don't remember which one it was, that if I had given it to Ortiz, it would have been 5-3 Ortiz after 8 rounds, you know? So in which case then the final result would be 7-5. So 7-5, 8-3. I mean, 7-5, 8-4 was, I think, a pretty good score. But the 9-3 by Lombardi, I think that was a little bit too far. Frank Lombardi with 9-3. I don't think you can underappreciate Jermaine Ortiz's effort by only giving him 3 rounds like that. He's a good fighter. One thing I noticed he did, and this is something that the broadcasters brought out on the broadcast ward, Tim Bradley and Joe Tessitore, they were discussing, and one of them brought out, I don't remember which one, was bringing out that because of the sparring that he'd done with Lomachenko, Ortiz had mentioned that he, you know, finds the angles and he knows how to step around. And if you notice, when Lomachenko steps around you all the time, he puts you in tough positions. He sets up his attack. First of all, he sets up his own attack while taking away your attack by stepping around in those defensive and attacking angles all the time. And he kind of puts you on the back foot constantly because you're constantly having to adjust the angle. But one thing Ortiz knows how to do, I guess, from having worked with Lomachenko, is he knows how to change the angle back to Lomachenko's. He's kept angling out. When Lomachenko would angle in, he would angle out. So it would take away the target from him. But one thing that's important to do when you're doing that, you can't lose positioning. Because in your effort to get away from that attack, from that angle change, you may overcommit on the defensive side. And if you overcommit on the defensive side, Lomachenko can still set you up in the follow-up. So one thing Ortiz was doing very well was changing the angle, but also not losing the position when he changed the angle, keeping his punching, what's the word I'm looking for? Keeping his punching setup, you know, keeping his punching, not his distance, because again, he could change distance a little bit off the angle change, but keeping his punching position, essentially, you know, because you make that spin around, you make that turn, and you're able to be in position to punch in case Lomachenko tries to attack on that follow-up where he's looking, because when Lomachenko changes the angle, first of all, he's looking to hit you, right? And that's first and foremost. He's looking to take away your angle and also hit you. But also he's looking for you to panic off of that angle change. And then from there, he can follow up with more shots. And a lot of times, later in the fight, Lomachenko had more success with this because I thought Ortiz was tiring a little bit. But especially the first half, even 2/3 of the fight, I thought Ortiz did a really good job of when he would change the angle, when Lomachenko would change the angle, Ortiz would change the angle back, keep punching position, and actually sometimes respond with punches and not just respond with a defensive move, because he was in position to punch right away, and that kind of threw Lomachenko off. In the first round, when Lomachenko got that mouse on his eye, I don't know, they showed the replay with the fist and then the forearm or the bicep getting in Lomachenko's face, but I also thought I saw a headbutt. I mean, I didn't go back and look at it again, but am I going crazy? Wasn't there a headbutt too in that replay at the end of the first round? But anyway, regardless, both guys got some nice little souvenirs on their faces after the fight. A couple of mice on the cheek of Lomachenko and on the eye of Ortiz. I thought good action, good fight. I'd like to see Jermaine Ortiz again. Like I said, I've seen him against Adorno, who also is a good fighter. I mean, Top Rank matched up two good prospects in Ortiz and Adorno, and then released one of them. I mean, Adorno, I think now Adorno's with PBC, so he's done very, very well since as well. So I don't know. Maybe Top Rank over fills their stable and then just gets rid of prospects. I mean, both of those guys are good fighters. They're still good fighters, as Ortiz's performance against Lomachenko proves, and as Adorno's performances since the Ortiz fight have also proven. Stable of good fighters. The lightweight division is getting really, really exciting. It's got all young fighters. I mean, some of the guys are going to move up. We've already seen Teofimo Lopez move up, but even these young guys who are kind of stepping in and filling the role. There's a lot of good fighters. Hopefully we get to see some of these matchups as well, because there's a lot of potentially good matchups, and there's constantly new guys filtering in, and Ortiz is certainly one of them that made a bigger name for himself last night with his performance against Lomachenko. So where does Lomachenko go from here? I saw Devin Haney get in the ring. Listen, I said I would address with a conversation I had with Bill Haney the other day. Bill Haney, we got along. It ended up being respectful. Obviously, you guys saw it in the end. I know he's looking out for what's best for his son, and obviously that's the way you're supposed to be. You're supposed to handle your business in that way. He wanted to bet that Lomachenko wouldn't, that his son would take the fight with Lomachenko. I mean, you guys can go back and watch the video. I think it's on YouTube. The Boxing Voice put it up. A shout out to Nestor there at the Boxing Voice and Danny. But he wanted to bet me that they would take the fight, which kind of first threw me off. I was like, why am I going to bet you that you took the fight? Like, you can just pull out of the fight, So, and then wouldn't bet me that they would win the fight. So it was kind of weird. Like, at the end, I didn't really understand what the whole betting thing was, because if we were going to bet taking the fight and doing the fight and winning the fight, those are two different bets. But then at the end, if you see in a certain point in the interview, he told me that we could do one half that he takes the fight and one half that he wins the fight. I'm like, no, because all that's going to do is cover my loss from you taking the fight, and then you get beat. Now here's the thing. After the fight, Haney got in the ring, this thing's getting hyped up. Here's the thing with me. This is where I had the problem. Again, if you're gonna keep hyping this up, you gotta do the fight. And I don't think Haney can really make the lightweight division. I always felt like it was gonna be a built-in excuse to begin with. But then, me and Bill had a conversation the other day. I get where they're coming from. Listen, Devin may not be able to make the weight, but you still keep pushing this whole thing like Lomachenko is going to be scared of you. Like, Lomachenko is not scared of you. Lomachenko never ducked the fight. As I explained already, I thought we had we agreed, like Bill said, we agreed on the meat and potatoes part of the conversation, but there were still things that we didn't come to fully agree on, and one of them is that Lomachenko ducked Haney. Absolutely not, when the bigger fight was Teofimo Lopez at the time. That's like telling me Mike Tyson in 1990 ducked Evander Holyfield because he fought Buster Douglas first and then got beat, and then they didn't fight. Devin Haney took on Teofimo Lopez. It was the bigger fight and then got beat, so they never ended up with the Devin Haney fight, which at the time the Devin Haney fight still wasn't that big anyway. So I don't, even if you would have beat Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney and Lomachenko wouldn't have been that big of a fight as was Lomachenko and Lopez, who was getting some stellar wins at the time. So you got to put the context of the time in there either way. So I don't really vibe with that. But if you keep chasing this, you keep bringing this up, you got to kind of do the fight. I don't know where we're headed here, because the gist I got from Bill was that his son can't make weight. The gist I got was, he didn't look healthy. Okay, but then why are we having this discussion, guys? Like, why are we doing this? Like, you're either going to fight or you're not going to fight. People can say Lomachenko looked a little suspect last night. Maybe. But a lot of it, and Andre Ward mentioned this, a lot of it was because of Jermaine Ortiz. It was not because of Lomachenko. Lomachenko always has an issue at lightweight. He's going to have a bit more of an issue at lightweight because he's smaller than everybody else. Lomachenko is so good that he can't even fight at his own weight classes. He's got to fight at a weight where he's clearly the smaller guy. And Haney's a big lightweight. So he would have advantages if he made the fight and if he made the negotiations happen and took the fight. He would be even bigger than Ortiz. Now I don't know if Haney would know how to use his physicality in that way, because he's not really a physical type of fighter. He's more of an athletic kind of fighter. So that would be interesting to see as well. But certainly a good fight. I think. You know what? Based off of last night, I think a lot more people are going to be looking at Haney to possibly win that fight, based on the way Lomachenko looked last night. But again, I don't see that I give more Jermaine Ortiz credit. And Devin Haney's a good fighter too, but Jermaine Ortiz was doing some things, very, very particular things in that fight. And there's certain hustle moves that Jermaine Ortiz does, which I already mentioned in the pre-fight preview, that he just gets close, he just throws a bunch of combinations, moves his hands, and already from the outside he's giving you problems with his jab. From the inside he moves his hands and throws those combinations. He just puts you on the back foot defensively a little bit and takes charge of some of the rounds in that way. If his stamina would hold up, it would be better for him. But obviously he faded away late. But again, good performance by Jermaine Ortiz. Solid performance by Lomachenko. Is he fading? I mean, what do you guys think? Comments? Let me know in the comments. Is last night more of a situation where Lomachenko's fading? Is it a situation where, again, the lightweight division is more problematic for Lomachenko? As he's shown in the past, he gets these wins, but he's not as dominant in these lightweight fights, or maybe he's getting a little older, you know? What is Devin Haney going to do? Is he going to take the fight? I still lean on he's not going to take the fight, guys. I don't know. You got in the ring last night. I guess it's a lot of hype, and I totally get it. I mean, you're the undisputed lightweight champion at the moment, so you got a right to get in the ring and do all that. Lomachenko, you know, they had the conversation. I thought it was funny that Haney said, I went to Australia and agreed to all the terms in order to make that fight. That doesn't really prove anything to Lomachenko, because Lomachenko had agreed to all the terms too, and then he pulled out of the fight, and you could take the fight because Lomachenko went to the war. So I didn't think that it was like that big of a deal. Not that it was that big of a deal. Listen, it's a big deal. But, you know, when you have a very beatable champion in George Kambosos, and that's, again, no disrespect. The guy did what he had to do against Teofimo Lopez. But George Kambosos is a very, very beatable champion. And, you know, it was clear he wasn't even going to be able to make the adjustments in the rematch, you know? And he wasn't, you know? He is what he is. Speaking of meat and potatoes, that's a meat and potatoes kind of fighter. You know, tough, does what he does, but you know, had a good night against Teofimo Lopez, who I think happened to have a bad night against him. Either way, you're going to make that fight happen, and you're going to make that fight happen on the negotiating table no matter what. And both Lomachenko and Haney were willing to do that when that fight happened, which rewarded Kambosos justifiably so for being the champion that he had become when he beat Teofimo. But don't make like, you also can't make like, oh, well, I did everything to get the title fight, and so now I'm the champion. Okay. That's good. And Lomachenko clearly stated last night he's willing to give all the financial compensation to Devin Haney in order to get this title shot. Is it just bluster now? Because I'm telling you, Lomachenko is going to come with... I believe Lomachenko is going to take the fight under, you know, terms that are very, very beneficial to Haney as far as the finances. And Devin Haney, in a lot of ways, deserves it because he did this to... He went through the same thing with Kambosos, as he mentioned. But again, you can't make like that's going to be a way out for Lomachenko, because Lomachenko was also willing to do this against Kambosos as well. It's just he ended up pulling out of the fight. But you still got to make it somewhat realistic, because this is also a fighter who has been a world champion in 3 different weight classes, Lomachenko. So it's also got to be somewhat realistic. You got to also understand who you're fighting as well. So, you know, Haney went in and challenged Kambosos with no resume. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is where we all disagree. Haney didn't have the title at the time. You know what I'm saying? And I came with the receipts and everything, and they're still going to be back and forth with that. We're going to put that to bed. Again, the meat and potatoes part of the conversation, me and Bill agreed on. That part of the conversation we do not. But nonetheless, we're here. Devin Haney is the undisputed lightweight champion. Lomachenko is clearly the top contender for that title, and he's also a guy who's willing to make the fight, who wants to make the fight. Are we going to get Haney versus Lomachenko? I said from the beginning, I didn't think we were. And I still lean towards I don't think we will. But based on also the fact that Bill was willing to bet me to make the fight, but not willing to bet to win the fight, it also had me thinking, you know, maybe they don't actually intend to actually take the fight, which is why I said no. You know, you can just pull out of the fight if I have to pay you just for taking the fight. You know, you gotta bet on winning the fight. You know, and so I don't know, a lot of things up in the air. I thought it was cool in some ways that Devin got in the ring, and you know they kind of hyped it up a little bit. But I think it's only cool if you actually make the fight. Everybody's sick and tired of talking about this, and even Lomachenko mentioned, you know, Devin's a big lightweight. You know, I admit it's probably not that easy to make weight for Devin. I think Bill also mentioned that as well. I think a lot of people have said that. He's been a lightweight for a long time. It's a big advantage he has over Lomachenko if he can make the weight. physically, Lomachenko is undersized, and we can see how it's bothered him against some of these lightweights. So we'll see. Listen, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I know this has been a hotly debated topic, especially here at Paulie TV. But let me know what your thoughts, and will this fight happen? Will this fight not happen? And what did you guys think of Lomachenko last night at lightweight? What happens if it doesn't happen? What happens if Haney moves up? Do Shakur and Loma pick up the vacant titles and fight each other? And what happens in that fight eventually? I think that's the angle to go. They're going to go with if Devin moves up in weight. I think Loma and Shakur will try to pick up the remaining straggler titles. But I know how important this fight is to Devin Haney. Not this fight in particular, but the undisputed titles. I know how important they are. I mean, to Vasyl Lomachenko. So I think he's going to make his best efforts to make this fight. We'll see if the Haneys also are going to make their best effort to make this fight, or if they intend to make this fight. Because again, if you can't make weight, you can't make the fight. But if you can't make weight, why'd you get in the ring last night? That's my thoughts. I'm Paulie Malignaggi. This is Paulie TV. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.